just going to basically announce who's coming up and what they're doing.
Okay.
And then I'll speak off.
Okay, sounds good. All right, if everybody wants to come in and sit down and take a seat, we will get started. Oh, welcome everybody to the first day of summer. Turned out to be a hot one, didn't it? Yeah, we'll get a few things out of the way. Bob, see, you're first one on the list this week. You need hats and aprons? See Bob. There's an ice chest in the back if anybody wants some water. I brought a whole bunch of water in because it's hot, and during these hot months I will bring water in. We get to question and answers. If you could just stand up, and then we'll get a microphone over to you so everybody can hear. We have a picnic coming up September 7th. I know I saw him in here. Hey, Bill, are we still looking for volunteers and people? No, but are we as a group? Okay. I will send out an email on what we need. And if you want to help, send me an email back. We got any new members here tonight? Okay. On the table, there's a copy of the newsletter, and that is something you will get every month. And if you don't read it, I printed out one for every table, so we don't have to rehash all this stuff. Up here on the front table, we have handouts about the guild. There's a bunch of them up there. Take them, pass them out, pass them around, and see if we can get more people to join. They're pretty neat. They talk about all the stuff we do. So they're on the front table as you're walking out. Now, new members. Now we have one over here, and one over here. Yep, right over there. One over there. Okay. Stand on up and tell us about yourself. Turn them on.
Okay, I'm Chris Gibbons. Got into woodworking during COVID like a bunch of people. So I've just been setting my shop up and getting things going and a few projects here and there. My dad and grandfather were both big woodworkers, so I kind of grew up around it. So.
All right. Welcome.
Yep, thanks.
Next one's over here. You got one back there? I think we got one over here. Nope. Down here in front.
My name's Rick Dreyfus. I've never done one thing in woodworking.
Hey!
I don't think that's that funny. I do wood carving, and I've worked with all these guys. Bob has talked to me about woodworking, and I thought it'd be I'm retired now, and I thought it might be something cool to kind of start learning, and that's why I'm here.
All right. Welcome. And then all the way over in front of the table.
Yeah, I'm John Markeel. Started woodworking, I guess, when I was in about 8th grade, collecting scraps from where they were building houses and put a cabinet together. Had a problem with it. My dad said you couldn't do that, and I guess I've been trying to prove him wrong ever since. We are COVID, we traveled for 14 years till COVID shut us down, so now we're settled here in St. Louis, and I wanted to get back to doing some of the woodworking, so I had to get rid of my shop in Ohio when I retired.
Welcome. And then for everybody, we got the free table that's back in the back, to where if you have anything that you just want to give away, just bring it in and throw it on the table. I know we got some books back there tonight. We got some of these flexible, neat little air blower things. There's a bunch of these back there. So visit the free table. And in front of the free table, there is the toy table. Now, community outreach, our toy program. Hey, Steve, how many toys we collect tonight?
Several. 203.
All right, 203 toys. Good job, everybody. Are you still needing any, are you short any toys? Anything you need?
I just need people to understand when they're in the shed putting toys away, a car is not an airplane. I've tried to mark the ends of the boxes, so please think about where you're putting toys.
All right. We are still looking for somebody to replace Steve as the toy chairman. He's just sticking on till we can find somebody. He's doing a really good job, but life gets in the way a lot of times, so he has actually stepped down, and we're still looking for somebody to take his place. So if anybody's interested, talk to me or Steve. Christmas toys. Wayne's the chairman. They meet twice a month on Fridays, and he has 934 toys in inventory right now for all of the stuff that's listed here. Toys for Tots and the Festival of Trees. Anybody making anything for the trees has to have it in no later than the meeting in October. Next community we got is Home Sweet Home. Tom's the chairperson for the tables, and Tom wants to say something.
Al. Yes, I always do like to say something. I'd like to say thank you to everybody that's participated. We've had 30 members so far that have built tables. Quite a few, 6 or 8, have built 5 or more tables.
Wow.
So we really appreciate it. Our total count is 249 tables, so we've collected about almost 30 tables so far this year.
Oh, wow.
Yes, we do have wood in the shed, and I was going to do Saturday, but the temperature looks like it's going to be crazy. But if you want wood for a table, it's white oak, 8/4, 3 to 4 inches wide. It makes a good table. You just have to work at it a little bit. Please give me a call, and also reference our website. The information about Home Sweet Home and the table programs on the website, as well as my contact information. So, thank you.
All right, hand it to
Yes.
Vicki.
Oh.
Vicki's next.
Yeah, I like to talk more than Tom. But if you remember, Dave Gromfeld has talked about the art fair, the art fair that Faust Park is having this year. It's the first year of it. It is August 24th, and we have committed to have a booth. And in that booth, we are going to sell items donated by members with, well, I've declared, and I haven't heard any pushback, but any funds that we receive will go to our community outreach programs. So it's a good deal. And I will tell you that no item is too small, no item, well, there might be some too large, but no item too small. And we're looking for, price points that from $5 up. I've brought in and displayed how I want some wands that I've made, both painted and unpainted, that I have priced them at $5 for unpainted, $10 for painted, and then also we'll probably grab some toys out of the toy department, because you guys do such a great job making toys that we want to have them available. They're a great draw for kids coming in, and when the kids come in, the parents will come with them, and we can have some of our higher priced items that they might be interested in. I had an article in the newsletter this time that gave an idea of some of the items that I think would sell well. I'm a frequent attendee of these kinds of fairs, so I'm speaking from experience. But every month we see so many great things made by our members, and we're looking to have at least 100 items that we can sell to the other folks coming to the fair. And David, did you want to say a word or two? The other thing is I also have, I have a sign up for the items that you will donate, and for you to put your suggested price point on it as well. And when you're going to deliver it, because we'll be taking deliveries this month, July and August for the booth. And I also have a sign up sheet for volunteers, starting with setting it up, working sales, and then tearing it down. So we really need some help doing that. Sadly, I am not here the month of August, so otherwise I would be happy to be point on this. So we're looking for someone to ride herd on it, and then to just make it a great opportunity. So, David? Oh, Bill, yes? Where do you want them delivered? Deliver them to the meeting. Unless they're really, really big and lots, then I think we can put them in the shed. We'll try to have some containers available for you to put them in. But for sure, if you can, bring them to the meeting, and that way we can keep track of them better. Okay? Any other quick questions? Always available after the meeting if you do. David?
Thank you, Vicki. I just want to piggyback onto that. What was kind of the impetus for this was in association with the Whimsical Woods, and some members have already made items for the Whimsical Woods, and school groups have made items for the Whimsical Woods, and we've been putting them up, and people are really enjoying, I think, not quite millions, but we're approaching six figures, but we're not quite there yet.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a little bit exaggerating there, but it is popular. And if anyone wants to make items that are associated with that, people are very interested in those items, it seems. So if you have any inclination to make something like for the Whimsical Woods and you want to then have that sold at the art fair, I think there would be a market for that. And that is one of the ideas or driving forces behind the whole art fair idea and the Whimsical Woods kind of being tied together. So if you have anything like that, I will just tell you that people are seem to be interested in those items. So just throw that out there. Thank you very much.
Hey, David, at the park, where is that located?
The Whimsical Woods is back by just beyond our shop.
Okay.
So if you just keep going on to the part where we have our swap meet, it's right on the back side of that.
Oh, okay.
Where's the art fair going to be? The art fair is going to be in the historical village. So along the road in the historical village. Vicki has something else she'd like to say.
I forgot to say, so we're also looking, and this is August. August will be very hot. We're also looking to see if any members might have a pop-up tent.
That's what I was just going to ask. Can we bring a pop-up tent and put it up?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I have one.
How big is it?
10 by 10.
Is that? We'll
And
take
I think
whatever.
I might even have two, but I know I have one.
And also any folding tables would be good to have as well. So if you could coordinate
I've got an 8-foot.
If you could coordinate that with David,
Okay.
that would be appreciated. That's right.
All right.
Unless
Sounds good.
somebody else wants to be point for this, and so David doesn't have to do everything. Okay, who's next?
Sounds like David just got railroaded in.
Well, he should be railroaded in. He's the one that railroaded us. So, who gets the mic next?
Okay, next. Questions and answers. I remember last week I told you I had a question and I forgot by the time I got here. Well, I wrote it down this week. I'm having a hard problem keeping glue. I have a cabinet, I got a light in it, I try to keep it about in between 70 and 72 degrees. Bought a thermometer that regulates the temperature. It keeps separating on me. I use Type Bond 2 and 3, and I have one hell of a time keeping glue. So I started going down buying the little bitty expensive small bottles because I buy the big and it separates on me. And my shop's in the basement. Anybody got anything on good temperature or something? Each one, 2 or 3. A lot of times they're just the quart bottles are the ones that are what? The 16, 18 ounce bottles. They separate and they, I get that much at the bottom. And
I never use that much because I can't justify it.
yeah,
It will eventually
it will separate.
That's my experience.
Yeah.
And I can't put it in a fridge. That won't do it.
So he's saying he can't put it in a refrigerator. Yeah, he can't because it'll, yeah.
Brian, Type Bond says it'll normally last about 2 years.
Yeah, it
As
doesn't.
long as it's in a kind of a cool place and not a lot of sunshine.
Yeah.
But yeah,
There, I got it in a basement and a closet, very similar to what we have at the shop.
yeah. I've never had it separate.
Was here, told us to read the date in the code. A lot of times it says on the shelf in the store.
So he's saying check the dates on the on the glue because it could be old when you buy it. Yeah. Yeah, but you would figure if you go to Woodcraft or Rockler's that they would sell the stuff fast enough that it would still be good. Yeah, that's true. He says it comes out of the warehouse and you really don't know how long it's been sitting in there. But I just get so frustrated that I go in there, I pull it out, bring out some glue, and I go, this is bad again. So I tried to do what the guy from Gorilla said. Put some water in it, shake it up and stuff. Yeah, it don't work. Yeah. Oh, it does on his? I just have had a bad thing with that glue, especially the stuff that foams. Ugh, nasty stuff. Okay, that's my question. Anybody else got any questions? Problem? There we go. We got one over here.
Anybody have a socket type chisel where the handles won't stay on?
Yes.
There's a great little article in the current Fine Woodworking on how to overcome that. It has a specific glue. You heat the metal socket and you put that together, and they claim that really works great.
Wow.
I'm going to post that article on the blackboard in the shop.
All right. Good. Thanks. Anybody else have a question? All right. Well, I allowed 15 minutes for this, and we've only used 5. So you guys got to come up with questions. Next up. Oh. Show and tell. There we go. Oh, who do we got for show and tell other than me? All right. So, I like playing around with crap. This is my second CNC machine. The first one I destroyed. I walked away from it, and it hit metal, and it sparked, and It blew the board, blew the motor, blew a bunch of other stuff. So I went out and bought a better one. I really did this just to learn it, but I found out that we can make stuff with it. These are some of the things. Now the big bodies, I did not use on CNC. I did that with my scroll saw, but everything, all the other parts and pieces are done by the CNC machine. I use my 3D printer to make hold downs for it. I've got all kinds of other hold downs and stuff that I printed down here, but I found these work the best. This thing is loud. So what I did was I built this box on it, and then it got dark, so I had to put the lights in it. And then I figured, well, I need to get down into it, so then I had to put the lid so I can lift the lid this way. Well, I had my laptop up here, but I figured that I got to stand all the time and do that, so the laptop now is down there. This cabinet I got from Menards. Every morning I get this article from thing from Menards telling super stuff's on sale. This cabinet was $10. You know, so I had to refit it a little bit to make it long enough that it'll fit. But this is just one of the things that I play around with. I'm right now carving Volkswagens. So all of the pieces on here, other than the wheels, was done by the CNC machine. It's not as fast as me scroll sawing, but I can scroll saw about 3 of these by the time it takes one of these to get done. So I can do 4 in that period of time instead of 3. So, but it's it's fun, and it's not as inexpensive as I thought it was going to be. A lot. Like that one slide I had up there at the beginning where a guy says my thing about dying is that where he hopes his wife doesn't sell the items for what he told her she paid for them. I can relate to that one. But so I screwed up a lot, and I found this on the internet. It's a CNC router checklist. So I go down through the checklist every time that I'm doing this, and my failures have really gotten really slow. I mean, really gone away, except for these things, these motors. This one here spins at 20K, and you got to keep tightening the router bit. If not, it comes out, and a lot of times they break. And everything's done in metric, so I had to, and me and math, I'm dyslexic. So I got me a chart of everything in here from fractions, decimals, and metrics. So anytime I need to, I just go, okay, well, that's the size that I need to make it in the program. But it's a fun little hobby, but it's not fast. But all the signs that are back there on the free table, the toy table, those were all done on this machine. It's a little small, but I'm figuring out how I can do, bigger, thicker things. So they said I couldn't use 1/4-inch router bits on this, and I proved them wrong. Yes, you can. You just don't do it that deep and that fast. But I can pocket out something, pretty nice and smooth. So that's my show. Oh, so it was so loud. I built the case, put the door on it, and it's amazing how much that really muffled everything. So now I'm not totally done with it. I'm trying to figure out now, do I want to paint it, and do I want to put a hasp on that so I can close the door, because there's still pretty much noise coming through there. So that's my show and tell. Good questions. Oh, it's no, it's a Jim Smith. Yeah.
So now that you put it into a quiet housing, do you have overheating problems?
No, I have a fan on top. Oh, he asked if when I put it in a housing, do I have a heating problem? No, I put a fan on top and there's a big gap in the bottom. Oh, and this is another thing I did too. I hate wires and cables and all kinds of stuff. This hose for the vacuum system, I bought one of those small Harbor Freight roll around vacuum systems. That's what vacuums this. So the backside on here, I got all the wires and everything else nice and neatly put away. And then I figured I got to roll it around the shop, so I had to put wheels on it. I think I paid more for the wheels than I did for the cabinet. They're Harbor Freight wheels. They were $5 a piece. Because I had to have them locked, because if you're running this thing and they're not locked, it kind of walks around the floor. Say that again? What is the soundproofing material that you have in there? I have no clue. It was something I found on Amazon that they used in soundproofing recording studios. So, you know, this is, I can do this. We can do this. In this big room, it's probably not that bad. So that's it with it closed. So you can see that it's pretty quiet now. So it does a pretty good job of muffling the noise. I can go upstairs, and we really can't even hear it running. But I learned that you can't walk away from it. Sometimes it does weird things and you don't know why. But a couple people have asked me about a class just on things that I've learned about these toy CNC machines. So if anybody's interested, let me know, and we can get a class together, and we can go over the pros and cons and see if it's something that you would like to get into before you spend money. Well, let's see. The box was from 2 sheets of plywood that I got from Menards that were scrap. So that was about $20 there. The machine is $299. My wife thought $150. Probably around $500 because I got a lot of bits and things. This is an upgraded. I upgraded the motor. The upgrade motor was because the original one that came with this machine was 12K, and it just, boy, it was a dog. You could only go a millimeter deep and about 4 millimeters time-wise going forward. And so I bought the bigger one, and I can go like 7 millimeters deep and about a speed of 7. So that was a good upgrade. And then the lights. Yeah, the lights I had because I used to put those under the kitchen things. So I don't know how much those were, but about $500. But it's really fun and always learning. You got to learn new software. I use a program that's called Easel just because it was only, I think I pay $200 a year to use that one. I like that one because it gives a small machine like this, because a lot of times what I'll do is I'll take a picture, like the Volkswagen Bug. I took a picture of it from a scroll saw pattern, turned it into a CSV file, and then had to manipulate it so it comes out right because they don't always transfer correctly. And Easel made it easy for me to bend and move the sizes around. So that's why I like that. That's why I like that program. I tried 3 or 4 different ones, and I finally just wound up and bought Easel. Any other questions? All right. Hey, that wastes some time. Now it's raffle time. We got 2 names. Is there another person with a show and tell? Oh, okay. He's going to do his with the Christmas thing. Oh, okay. All right, everybody get your tickets out. Okay, what do we got? What do we I know we have 2 boards.
We have 2 boards, yeah. One is tiger wood, and that was donated by Vic. The other one was in the shop shed. We're not sure what kind of wood it is. Any guesses? Any guess? Good. All right,
Okay.
Yeah. It was donated by a member. Yes. Thanks, Tom. Somebody thinks it's oak. Okay, it's oak, and it's heavy. And we also from Rockler have 2 donated reward cards, $50 each. We also have, I thought we were going to talk about this, Mark. Where's Mark? Yeah, Mark wants to donate something for the drawing as well. Do you want to talk about it? Okay, so
He's got two cheese slicing things.
right. So don't throw away your tickets because we'll do a second drawing for that.
Okay.
Either that, or we could do it, and then he'll tell you what you want. You know. So, anyways. Okay. So someone who didn't buy a ticket. That can be me.
I didn't buy a ticket.
You. I guess I didn't write that check I owe you either. All right, thanks, Dave. 055512. We have a winner. All right. So,
Hey.
well, wait. We think we have a winner.
Yeah, I can't.
Okay, that's we do. All right. So you can have a reward card or one of the boards. All right. All right. Hey, wait. And
Pick,
draw.
you gotta
and
pick.
draw. And I'll take that. Thank you. Last 3 digits. 449. We have a winner. All right. Very good. All right. Cheese slicer? Well, you don't get to take it with you, and what it is, it will just be a slicer, not the actual board. Yeah. Hey, don't. Hey, I'm the messenger.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of each, or one of either of those. Yeah, and he'll show you how to. He will show you how to do that. I'm told, right, Mark? Or one of these 2 boards, or a reward card. Okay, there you go. Draw a number. Okay, thank you. Last 3 digits, 526.
10 off.
We have another winner. All right.
Boy, they're all coming from the back of the room.
What can we interest you with? All right. 526. All right. Draw a number and you can carry the board. You might want help with that thing. I carried it out here.
You can leave it sit there till the meeting's over if you want.
It's not like anybody's going to sneak out with it.
Yeah.
All right, last 3 digits. 492.
$4.92.
Is it a possible? All right, here we
Hey.
go.
From the front of the room.
All right, so we got a board or we have a cheese slicer component. You're going to take the tiger wood, all right? Check the number there. All right, sounds good. And we're good. All right, pick a ticket. Thank you. 421.
Oh,
I
another
heard,
one.
it.
10
I heard a
off.
moan. There's Bill. All right. Would you like the chrome or the black? Oh, and you can't take it now, but you should identify which one you would like. You want the chrome?
Bill's going to take the chrome.
Bill's got the chrome. Okay, we have the. No, you have to leave it, Bill. Yeah. But you're sitting right next to the guy who donated it to us. Oh, Bill,
Bill, pick.
last number. All right. And the number is 529. Way back there, we have the same winner, which that's all legal.
Wow.
Oh, or we don't.
No, same table.
Same table. Okay.
Well, it's like almost all the winners come from the back of the room, except for one.
529.
It's like I'm
All
sitting
right.
back
So
there
you'll
next
get the
time.
black one at the end of the day. All right. Please remember your items. I don't think it'll be too hard. And I'm done.
All right. Yeah, I think it's about time. For Christmas in June. Come on up. You want a microphone?
Does it have one up here?
You can have this one.
Okay, I'll do 4 with you for every time.
No, just here. Hold that.
Oh, wait a minute, here we go.
Okay.
Hang on.
All right. Don't make me.
I
Don't make me
appreciate
any
that.
difference.
Well, it's a nice, cool day out there. The snow is piling up.
got
It's
him.
Christmas in June.
You got an hour. Stretch it.
We've got a few Christmas ideas up here, and I thought this was a pretty good idea to do this last year, and it didn't work out time-wise. But this year we've got a pretty good selection, so feel free to come up after the meeting, or you can ask the people who have built this stuff questions after they get done talking. Let them do their talk first, and then ask them questions. But we've got 8 people to present their ideas this year, and we're going to start off with Dan Linder. He made cheese boards and shaker berry boxes. So Dan, why don't you come up and talk about what you've done? Bill Shuke had to be after him.
What I call cheese boards from my cut-offs.
Is it working?
Yeah, yeah, thank you. And usually my boards take for the shape of what the material is, primary for the thickness, and I use maple, cherry, and walnut. And I always try to have 2 on hand at home in case I need a small gift for something. So this works out, and then I oil them right before I give them away or wrap them. Along with the cheese boards, I also like to give away instructions to maintain a cutting board and keep it sanitized, because you'd be surprised, there's a lot of people that think everything goes into the dishwasher, and so this is handy. So I get this done at the local print shop and then cut it in half and keep that to go with the cheese boards. Then another item I like to make are these shaker berry boxes. Again, these are for like the cutting boards, These are made from the cutoffs that I keep in my shop. And the one on my left is made from poplar. And these other two are made from cherry and leftover maple, but you can use whatever species of wood that you have. And the sides and the handle are 1/8 inch material, and the joinery is 1/8 inch by 1/8 inch box joints. And then the bottoms are 3/16, and you just lam those up and glue it on there. And so that's a lot of tedious work to make those box joints. But and then to form the handles, I just put the wood in warm water in the bathtub, keep it in there about a half hour to an hour, and then you got a PowerPoint chart. I just make a small form, bend that over that form, keep that on there for a few hours, and it holds the shape. Then for fasteners, I went to Home Depot and bought stainless steel pop rivets and attached those on there. And the ones that I have up here have some wear, which is nice to see because the recipients of those are using them. So they're good for some of the things they've been used for is to hold Christmas cards or holiday cards during the holiday season, and to make like a little centerpiece, either with some flowers or from gourds like at Thanksgiving time, or I got one for the grandchild and she just keeps her whatnots in there. So
How are you cutting those boards so thin?
What I do is this is probably a length of about 2 feet long, and I just send them through my planer, but I have a sled. And so you have to have more material than what you think you need, because sometimes if you don't have grain that's straight, it'll get chipped up in the planer. But with the sled, I'm very successful in getting it down to 0.95, but this is 1/8 inch, so that's considerably thicker. So anyway, so it works well with the sled. So that's my berry boxes. Thank you. Yes.
Cutting boards, glue the clamp, and they split later, even if you don't put them in the dishwasher. I'm sorry. And they split even if you don't put them in the dishwasher, just wiping them down. Do you do any joinery to connect?
No, I just make sure I have straight sides, like you would glue together most 2 pieces of boards, and I use Tight Bond 3 glue. But no, I don't do anything special. Now, one thing, way back my early years of woodworking, if you have a little bit of snipe, you just might as well cut that off and not use it, because if you could clamp it out, but it's going to come back on that. So, yep. Question over here.
What do you use on your boards?
Hang on a minute. Hey, this doesn't come out well on YouTube.
All right. What do I use on my boards for oiling? Either mineral oil or walrus oil is what I use.
The mineral oil that you buy at, most places can be kind of expensive, okay? Hint, baby laxative at Walmart is mineral oil. Pure, 100% grade mineral oil. And it works great. And it's really cheap.
Well, it's not like I drink it. Okay, so. I think next up.
Anyone else? Okay. Thank you, Dan. Next up, Bill Shuket.
There we go.
Going to be talking about a knife holder. After that, Bob Castigar.
Well, I made a couple of drawings of this thing, and I'm having to go way back because I made this about 25 years ago. It's cherry. It has slits that come back this far and all the way through the top half, which is the dotted line that you see. So the back part is where you attach it with dowels is solid. And yeah, it's a knife holder. And I just leave this out on the counter. I don't know if that, well, like that, yeah. It has, leave it on this one for a second. It has the wide slits where the knives are, and then the design that I was following had some narrow slits, which I guess were supposed to be steak knives or whatever. And I found that those really weren't wide enough to use. If I were going to make another one, I wouldn't do that. But this will hold, I think, 10 knives. And I made it long enough ago, I have no idea what I finished it with. But it is just solid cherry. I found some articles with these advertised in. They sell for pretty good money. And I have a different drawing that I didn't find when I made that later drawing. If anybody's interested, this has got probably a better drawing. And I'd be happy to copy it for you. Questions?
Thank you, Bill. Oh, what? Hang on, Bill.
Yeah, I was curious how you cut. Did you flip it over on a table saw and run it along the fence to get those cuts in it?
I did the cuts in it before I cut the shape.
Okay. So I'm talking about the cuts for the knives to slide into.
Right, I did that. I think it's 2 inches tall.
Yeah.
And before I cut the shape, I ran the flat board through the table saw with a certain depth. I think about halfway through.
Thank you.
Flipped it and ran it for a bandsaw.
Right, for the narrow ones, but I wouldn't do that again. It wouldn't bother. Yeah. Don't ask too detailed questions, because CRS, you know.
I think that'd be a great item for the art fair.
It's not for sale.
Well, items like that would be great for the art fair, I think.
Other questions?
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
Bob Castigar. He's going to be talking about puzzles, coasters, cutting boards, and trains.
All kinds of stuff.
All kinds of stuff.
Okay, first off, I'm Bob Castigar. Nice to see everybody.
Mark.
It's not just Christmas that we make gifts for people. There's family reunions, there's birthdays, there's weddings, there's anniversaries. If you're like me, my wife will say, we're going to a wedding this week. What do you got in the basement? And I'll have to go look and see what we have down there, because you tend to make these things in batches. A number of years ago, I found that I loved three-dimensional puzzles. I don't know, I know Joe is a big puzzle guy, but this one really cracked me up. I thought it was a great puzzle. It's fairly easy to make. You can make them in bulk, and people love to fidget with stuff like this. This one in particular, about 5 years ago, my brother had a garage, and he had built it about 10 years before, but he wanted a bigger one. So he took it apart, and he said, what am I going to do with all these 2x8s I got left over from this garage? So he brought them to my house, and I made a puzzle like this, where this dowel is 18 inches long and 3-inch diameter, and each of the squares are 18 6x6 solid pine. I put a 24-inch diameter glass top on it, and it's my coffee table in my family room. Okay? So when you're making these things, sometimes you got to go, what the heck, let's try it, you know? This one is actually kind of easy. I have a bad habit of making little templates for these kinds of things. Because anytime you're going to make more than a couple of anything, a template will really make it go quick. On this one, it's just a matter of marking where the centers of the holes are to drill them. Because once you make all the squares of the same shape. So little template. I'm pointing that out because there's a point to that. I made these, a bunch of them in different woods, and they were a lot of fun. Then I found a different puzzle, which is a 12-piece burr. Where's Joe? Joe will know what these things are. And this one is my prototype. You can tell how I put the letters on it, so I know how to put the darn thing together. And I found that cutting these on the table saw, okay, I'm going to drop this all over, I know I am. Cutting these grooves on a table saw can be a bit tricky and dangerous. So I came up with a jig for that. This slides in my table saw on the track. There's a 1/2-inch groove goes through, almost halfway up, and each of those pieces will fit in the appropriate slot. You run it through, you move it to the other side, and you're done with the piece. Makes it go really quick. The problem I found was, okay, if this is your table saw, the blade is right there, okay? And that bothered me. So I had these little rubber balls laying around, okay? So when you're sliding this, you can hold that thing quite firmly in place with these silly rubber balls. This might save your finger, okay? So, or thumb. And they're cheap and easy to find, so they're a lot of fun. Now, for people who don't like puzzles, most of us like to have a drink every now and again, and you don't want to put it on the good puzzle table because you'd leave a mark, right? So one afternoon, my scrap box was overfilled, and we decided, okay, I'm going to make some coasters, okay? I had a bunch of scrap lumber, glue it up, 1/2-inch thick, make coasters. Okay, I thought that was kind of fun. And then I said, well, what about a bottle opener in the bottom of the coasters? That might be kind of useful, you never know. So this was the prototype I used for making the coasters. I ended up making a round base, and I didn't add the bottle opener because it is a lot of work. Drilling a hole in a nickel is a trick. And again, I used a template for laying out the stuff. These little templates I put in a 3-ring binder with all my plans so that when I need it again, it's there. And more often, I can't tell you how many times my wife would say, you know, we gave that cutting board to Linda, and now her friend wants one. I don't remember what I gave to who, so these are really handy for that type of thing to keep the plans. With the puzzles, I wanted a more refined edge on these. You can't really route that. So I took a piece of sanding disc that you would put on your regular 6-inch sander. I made these 2 boards at 45 degrees and a round on either end. So when you loosen these, you can open it and close that gap very minutely. And when you do this, you can clean that edge to be absolutely beautiful and unique and the same every time. Works on edges, makes a really nice refinement for the puzzles.
Your brain really spins fast.
Mm-hmm. I found this one a couple years ago. My family tends to be dog people. I don't know how many dog people are here, but I made these for the family, and basically I even include the mounting hardware, and you put your dog leash by the door so you're always ready to go. I don't know, I'm not sure who designed this. I just saw it somewhere, and it was probably some high school kid's shop class or something. But cutting out the shape of a paw print is not too hard. You got your spindle sander, you can do that pretty good. But then you have to make these 1/4-inch pieces of walnut for the paw. You're not going to route these. There is no way you're going to take a piece this size and try to route it on your router table. So first off, when I made the big paw, I would double face tape it to this and then put the whole thing on the router table to trace the edge. Then a 1/4-inch router bit on there, and it comes out pretty nice. But these little guys, there's no way you're going to route these. And I didn't want to leave them all square and everything. So I made myself something I call a sanding mop. I don't know if I know the Intarsia people use these. Basically, what I did was I took an old junk pair of scissors, cut 1-inch strips of sandpaper, and when you're done with that, those scissors they're done. I pounded them through into a board. I pounded them through so that they just basically impaled themselves on here, and put a nut and a bolt on the top and bottom. And when this spins on your drill press, you can sand that top edge. It'll look like it's routed. It's a really neat trick. So if you want to be safe, this is not a bad way to do that. The coasters, routing out a circle like that, you could probably buy yourself a 3-inch Forstner bit, but A, that leaves a point in the middle, and B, holding this while you're using a 3-inch Forstner bit is a pain. So I made something I call a router box. Okay? It's basically a base layer that I screw down to my bench, a second layer that basically fits whatever I'm routing. You put it in there, you put this guy on top, and then you use your plunge router back and forth, and it comes out nice and clean and easy every time. So sometimes making these jigs makes a project go significantly faster. Okay. My mother is 93, and she loves to make soup. So my mother will cut up like carrots and put them in her soup. So a couple years ago, I made these wonderful little cutting boards, not unlike Dan, walnut, cherry, maple. Did them with walrus oil or mineral spirits with carnauba wax in it, basically. And my mother thought it was great, so I made them for some of the siblings. Well, the problem is my mother lives by herself, and she can cut up a carrot, and that works pretty good. But if you're cooking for 3 people and you cut up a couple carrots, you need more real estate. So a few years later, we came up with a bigger one. Same types of woods, same thought pattern. But once again, you keep these little templates, because then you can make as many more as you want, and you don't even have to try to figure out the layout. It's all there. It's ready to go. I did the same thing with what I call a charcuterie board. I know that's the big in word these days, charcuterie. And I thought I was experimenting with putting this wonderful little handle in here. And I thought it was kind of tricky. It's fun to do. It makes it look cool. And everybody I gave these to thought, what a wonderful place to put your little dip cup. That's not for the dip cup. That's the handle, guys. Okay, but okay, it's a dip cup holder now. So again, it's a wonderful thing you can do for family, friends, whatever. And it's fairly simple, straightforward. This was cherry and walnut, and then this guy was cherry and maple. I wanted to experiment with the different woods just to see how they'd look. And then this last guy was I had been to a estate sale, and I saw a 1930s toy. They called it a pull train, a floor train, and they made it for little kids in the day to like play on the floor and pull around and everything. So I thought it was brilliant. Can any of you help me with this? Can you hold those two up? So I made a pull train using maple, cherry, and walnut. And this is the prototype one. And then I've made about 6 of these since then. It's actually a fairly simple project. They can pull them around the floor. The difference is with this, I glued everything together. When I made them for the kids, I also added a screw. because I figured that that glue joint wasn't going to hold up to kid abuse. And again, maple, cherry, and walnut. And the cool thing about it is these two squares are the same. These two dowels are the same. These two roofs are the same. So you can actually make a length of material and make them fairly easy. Again, something you want to do if you're going to make a bunch of something. So, okay, I know that was a lot. Any questions? We'll talk.
Anyone else? You need to put on a book,
Put on what?
a pattern book.
That's what's in here. Okay.
Thanks, Bob. Next up, Mark Vechtel. He's going to be talking about cheese slicer boards.
You got it close.
I messed it up.
Okay, for starters, I got some handouts here. If somebody wants to pass these out. And then here's some more. On this sheet here has a, on the back is where you can, a supply place I found where you can buy these cheese slicer kits, cutting things. Somebody wants to pass those out. It sounds like everybody's wife gives their stuff away. Mine, I had 15 of these last Christmas. When I checked my shelving, I had 2 left. So she gives out a lot of them. It's all scrap that I've got laying around. It's basically, if you got a piece that's 6 inches by 9 inches, 10 inches. And to start with, you kind of get yourself a design, what you're doing. And if you see on the pamphlets that are being passed out, there's measurements for drilling your hole and for cutting your groove. And these are some of the ones I did. I did just finished pieces. I did strips, just put strips and gluing them together. Like you said, make sure you got smooth cuts. Make sure the glue stays. And here's an epoxy one. The way I did the epoxy one was I make a frame and I cut my boards and put them in there. I got 6 sections of cutting boards, cheese slicing boards, and I pour 6 of them at one time. That way you're not sitting there pouring one. And I bought this stuff online. It's like a plastic. And I kept pricing this stuff, and it was a sheet of it, a 1/4 inch, a 1/2 inch thick, was like $100 or something like this. Well, I found this roll was 33 inches wide by 10 foot long for only like $35 or something. It's an 8 inch thick. I took it and I cut it into strips and I glued it on the boards. And I made my frame and I made my inner frames with that too. So now I got a permanent board for making the epoxy ones, because the epoxy will not stick to these this black material. What I've found out at an auto supply place, what they use it for is these show cars. They use it for the fender wells. They heat it up and they form it to fit the fender wells. And it's just, it saved a lot of money and a lot of time on making kits for it. But going back to the cutting boards, on this depth here on your cut, you're going to want to go a certain depth, okay? And that's on this thickness here. I use a dowel rod centering jig. And if I got a bigger, thicker board, which I'm starting to use more thicker boards for this cut and to have a little more stability to it. I just take a spacer and I put it in there, and it takes that dowel rod centering thing and it pushes it up. So it's not centered. Say you want a 1-inch board, then you got to do a deeper cut. And I made a jig for, I have a Ryobi battery operated circular saw with a small blade on it. And I found out too that the regular blade makes a real wide cut here. So I went and I use a panel blade in here because it makes a lot thinner cut. So that way you got less cheese getting stuck in there. And well, I found out too that my little Ryobi circular saw has a real thin blade. So I made a jig that I can put the board in there, set it in there, and I just run my circular saw. That way I don't have to go back and keep changing my table saw blade back and forth all the time. You know, you make one cut, and you got to go put the other blade on to make the other cuts in that. And these kits, I found a place in Philadelphia. It's on the back of these sheets and that. I get these for $5.50 a piece. And I mean, you go into Rockler, Woodcraft, online, you're going to end up paying $12 a piece for these things at some places. But you order 5 at a time. I started getting like 10 at a time. And the more I make, the more my wife finds to give them to. That's why I went to that 6-panel thing. That way I can make 6 at a time there. And I had 2 more I was going to bring for demonstration too that were really nice epoxy ones. Well, they didn't make it. Wedding showers and stuff like that. And but she did give me one good advice on these things though. Instead of making it just that size there, make it longer, okay, and a little wider. That way, when you got people over, you can have different blocks of cheese sitting there, and they can go up and slice their own cheese. Instead of slicing up a bunch of cheese and putting it out, by the end of the night, the stuff's starting to curl up on you, and it's in the trash can. This way, you just put the block on there. And anybody got any questions? Oh, and here's the bit I use is a 6-inch, 1/4-inch bit, and you can see my line there. When you use the dowel rod centering thing, you're only going to go in so far. So you end up having to take it out and put your bit, take it out of the jig and put your bit, and you finish drilling that yourself. And when I first started doing it, one of the problems I found out was when I would make my cut and then go do my drill, I would find out I didn't cut deep enough. So when you go to recut it, a lot of times you end up wallering that out, and it's kind of, then you get a really wide gap in there. So if you're going to make them, try and get it set to a certain depth and use your bit so that it's at a certain on the side. You can see this one here, I got too big in a hurry, and I drilled the hole there when it's supposed to be back here. The depth of the cut blade is like 5 inches, and this depth here is like 3 7/8 or something. And this line here is 3 inches. And does anybody get questions?
What do you finish them with?
I just use butcher block finish. And like, Dan was talking about how you got to tell the people, don't put it in the dishwasher. Just because it's got metal on it, you still can't put it in the dishwasher. You got to hand clean it and stuff. And he's got a real good idea with that card. I need to do that with mine too, make up a thing, do's and don'ts with it. But I mean, it's a good, simple idea to do. And This is what you get when you order them, just like this here. There's a screw here, it comes out. When you put it in, you take the screw out, and you got to just take this down and slide it in there and tighten the screw. What I found too is on these here things too, when they first go in, they're not quite lined up, so you got to take it and put it in the vise and protect this here. And you kind of bend it out, shape it out a little bit. So otherwise, when you put it in, it wants to kind of travel over that way. So you got to take it and kind of tweak it a little bit so it gets back in the line there. And these are just black walnut pieces I had laying around. I cut down 2 black walnuts and an oak 3 years ago, and I got a lot of scrap laying around for. Actually, that's one of the oak right there. And that's about it. Any questions?
Replacement blades for the cutter. Same place?
They actually, 3 orders I got, he sent replacement blades with them. Okay? And the last order I got, he didn't send them. There's one other thing on there too. There's a little, on the twist here, where the wire twist, sometimes they stick out a little long, and they catch when they're sliding down. So take a little cutter, and just, all you gotta do is nip that wire that's sticking out there, and it helps keep it from catching that, because it's annoying after a while. When I first started doing that, I'm thinking, how am I gonna stop that? And then I realized just take a little, nip it a little bit. And yeah, like I said, the first 3 orders I got, he sent extra blades. And if you go buy one in a store someplace, a lot of times you'll find one, it's taped to the bottom of it. So that's about it. I'll leave these up here so anybody wants to see them can see them. Yeah, this is all scrap, and just stuff laying around. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Next up is Tom Turney, talking about clocks, coasters, and holders.
Hi, everybody. Like Bob, coasters are pretty popular. We've got 4 kids, so every Christmas they get, the same thing from the shop. This is a walnut box with the box joints on the corner, and they just slip in like this. Also, I don't know, Bob, if you can buy these cork bottoms online, get 30, 50, 100, and they're relatively inexpensive. So they come in, 2, 3, 4 diameter. Stick on the back. Makes a nice coaster. These are the ones I gave the kids for Christmas, cherry and walnut. And these were actually cut on a jig using a plunge router to get the round shape, and then run through the router table for the edge. And that's bar top finish. You want something that's gonna hold up. These are actually, 3 or 4 years old now. I had to wipe them off to bring them in, but they clean up nicely. And then like Bob, you can do, all kinds of different patterns and shapes. I actually did this on my lathe, fixtured it into a chuck, and just used a straight edge and cut the circle. These are the ones I had, I guess, the most fun with. There's about 30 or 40 different pieces in each one of these, and glued it in a big square and then cut it on the bandsaw. Again, different look. Okay, the other thing the kids got was a clock, And the clock face, I printed using a computer program. And it actually says on there, only time will tell if it was time well spent. Jimmy Buffett, anybody recognize that? So I guess the point is, you know, if you, the work, I think I got the works at Rockler, I got them online, but you can custom make that face to, you know, whatever you want. And the kids really got a kick out of it. And it's just, I think this is walnut. Got the glass at Kirkwood Glass, battery operated, you know, nothing really fancy, but the kids got a kick out of it, so. Anybody, any questions? Okay.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Next up is Dave Gronfeld talking about his candle box.
I'm David Gronefeld, and I brought a candle box with me, or a document box, depending on who you ask. It's got a lid that slides out. Okay, so it's supposed to be a hidden thing that you can't tell, but when I make it, you can kind of tell that it slides out. But it's supposed to be kind of a hidden thing, this box that you don't know how it's going to open up. So I made it out of oak, and that oak was harvested from my parents' property. My dad's had several trees taken down, and so I've been trying to make things out of it. I've made some chairs and other things, and I was looking for something to give my parents for Christmas last year. Well, year before last, I guess. And I wanted to make something from, you know, their property, and they have everything they need. They don't need anything. So that's probably one of the reasons why you all make gifts for people as well, is that, you know, it's hard to find for some people something that they would appreciate, that they would need, but what they will appreciate is something that you've made. So I knew that my parents would really appreciate something that I made, no matter what it was. And if I made it out of one of the trees from their property, I think they would think that was even more advantageous. So that's what I did. The idea came from a couple of sources. One, I think I've seen Roy Underhill make a similar box, and he called it a candle box. You couldn't tell how his box opened either, but and then the second time I saw it was a video by Chuck Bender. So I signed up for Popular Woodworking's streaming video service several years back now, and so I'll just be cruising through there looking, and I ran across this video by Chuck Bender, and in the video he makes what he calls a document box, but it was the same kind of box with the hidden lid. But he goes through how he made that box step by step, whereas Roy just races through it in a half an hour, and I can't ever quite follow exactly. Oh, you skipped some things there, Roy. I know that I'm not going to be able to do that. But he shows you exactly how to go through step by step, how to do it. And the idea of this video was he was blending his hand tool work with his power tool work, which I also really connected with because I like doing things with hand tools. That's why Roy is kind of compelling for me. But Mr. Bender there showed you how you could do many of the things with your power tools and then use the hand tools to just focus on those craftsmanship items that you want to display, like your dovetails and making your miter joints and just using the hand tools to complement and use your power tools to get the work done as efficiently and fast as you can. So I really recommend the video, even if you don't want to make the box. He really shows you a number of ways on how he uses hand tools to augment the power tools, even in the sense of just milling his wood up. If he's got a piece that's kind of particularly wonky, he can say, well, you can hit it with your hand plane and take off some of that stuff before you run it through your joiner, and then you don't have to keep joining it and joining it and joining it and watch it get thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner. If you've knocked off the problem spots, it makes it a much more reasonable, and you can save some of your wood that way. So that's how he would use it in the first steps, and then most of the other hand tool stuff he was doing at the end with the finishing, or with the dovetails and putting things together. He also hand carved the top, which I also attempted to do, and I did all right on the top. So he hand carved that so that that would be displayed, and that worked out pretty well for me. Another thing that he did was he kerfed in his miter joints on the side. Has anyone ever done that, kerfing in your miters? Supposedly, you take your saw and you put it in there and you'll just run your saw through it, and if you have any anomalies on either side, it'll take off those anomalies and then it'll just fit right together. I kind of made my bigger. I kind of made my gaps a little bigger, but they're not too bad. But anyway, I did not, the kerfing in didn't work out quite as well as I'd like, but it was all right. But like I said, you can tell where mine opens. So it worked out really well for me. Of course, my parents thought it was great, loved it, and it turned out pretty good. Put a molding along the bottom, and it's got a molding on the top as well, and I hand carved the top. Any questions?
Thanks, Dave.
Probably another good item for the art fair, maybe.
Next up, Bill Muth, talking about a Christmas wreath.
Okay. A good number of years ago, okay, a good number of years ago, I had very few tools, but I did have a small benchtop bandsaw. Okay, and so there was like 4 or 5 years in a row that I made a variety of woodworking stuff, just from that. And one of the years I ended up making this Christmas wreath. And it's just what I did is I went out in the yard in October, maybe September, and because I had the idea, and I just got leaves and made a masonite pattern out of each one, drew that on the wood, and then just followed the lines. Okay, and so I know that there's large maple leaves, small maple leaves, some redbud leaves, just whatever. And they turned out really well. They're just mounted on a piece of masonite. And this one, well, all of them, at that time I was, just how do I put them together? It's just hot glue. And when I took it down off of the peg where it's been hanging for probably 20 years, one of the leaves popped right off, but it went right back. But this was one of the things that I did. I bought the wood already this thickness from St. Charles Hardwood. They had a bin. I says, this is the kind of thing I want to make. And I says, you got some thin wood scraps, and this is what I had. I didn't have a thickness planer or a belt drum sander or anything like what today. That's what I'd use to get them all the same thickness, because it's kind of important because they stack. and finished it off with polyurethane. That's it.
My guest, and I guess I'm last, so that's a good thing, I guess. I make two things, and I use plans, so don't sell them. These are made from Woodsmith. Don't get Bob Ryan in trouble. Oh, I shouldn't have said my name. Scratch that off there, Al. And I made a tray for my wife, and I've got the plans up here for both of these projects. So you can come up here and you can take pictures of the plans, or you can write down your name and number, and we'll send you the plans. The first one, actually I made both of them out of a brown curly maple, and on this one I used western red cedar. And I did not bend this curve. I will be doing a bending demonstration later on this year. But this one was actually cut. As western red cedar came from my brother's old deck. We just happened to have the scraps left over, and I said, well, that'd be something. It was really thick, and I could make that cut real easy. And so we cut the sides on it, and I liked the brown curly maple because it gives you that real nice tiger striping on it. And I used to just poly on both of these projects in order to finish them. This also, I inlaid these little leaves, but now that my carving abilities have improved, I probably would have carved these. But this is, it's like a metal powder that you can, I used my Dremel, I think, to carve these out, and then I inlaid the metal powder in there. And it comes in silver, brass, and I forgot what the other one was, but it gives you different colors. And allows you to be able to get a different look on them. So anyway, that's what I made for the wife on that one. On this one here, this one was a little bit more complex. It's a picture frame built on an easel. It produces a nice effect. Once again, brown curly maple and walnut, and it's on the back side. It's actually made up of several pieces. These are half lap joints, and so this is where you get your strength from. And then on the front, I've got these 45-degree miters, and they kind of connect together. And then there's a rabbit on the back of this, and I'm able to sandwich the glass in there and put the picture behind that. And on this side, there's like a masonry board and just a couple clips that hold everything together. And then it sits together on a real nice artist stand. So it makes a pretty nice little gift. And I made several of them for my family, and I think I had a real production line going there. I never thought I'd finish these things, but I did. And any questions? Okay, great. Thank you. That's the end of our presentation, so I'm sorry, go ahead.
Got it. Coming.
For the metal powder that you put in there?
Yes.
How does that
Yes.
harden? How does that harden and stay in?
Actually, I just put it in there with a CA glue. And then the CA glue hardens up, and then you just kind of sand it all down afterwards. Good question. Brian?
Where do you find that metal flaking or metal powder?
I found it online, and I don't have the address with me, but I will get that for you. Anyone else? Okay, thank you very much.
We're done. We are done, everybody. Thanks for coming. We'll see everybody next month. And the guys who won the wood, if you leave it here, that's okay. I have room in my car.
Not with that, you don't.
You'd be surprised what I could stick in my car.